Hello, everyone. I have Romola Hodas here with me. She's from Florida. We have connected through ONPASSIVE, and ever since then, we're back and forth in our messenger. However, today is the first time I ever met her, and I think we've on the phone probably one time. But today, I actually first time having a conversation face to face with you, and thank you so much for being here. Could you please say hello to everyone, Romola?
Hello, everyone.
I'm glad that you are here. Um, let's always start from the beginning. I know that you have a book out there that talks about yourself, that kind of like the story about you. Let's start where you're from. How many people do you have in your families? Mom and dad,
Well,
and
I'm
brothers,
going to
sisters?
back up a bit and say I wrote the book because I wanted people to know about my father. And then I also wanted people to know that I went through a lot of trauma and abuse and what I did to get out of it. Because I knew that I was going to be living on this earth plane for a very, very long time. And I wanted to be happy. And I
Mhm.
knew that my parents were crazy. I love you, but they were abusive, and mom was like schizophrenic, and so the book is was for two reasons because my father was the porno king of New York City, and nobody knows how he built that up. Um, and I wanted to tell people how that happened. And in the interim of him building that up, all the crazy, difficult stuff that went on in my life. That, as I said, I'm going to be happy in this world. And what does that mean? And it takes a lot more work to be happy than it does to be miserable. So, you know, I started on a journey of figuring out what makes me happy, how do I get there, and I started realizing like the very, very first thing you have to do is talk nicely to yourself. You have to be kind and loving to yourself, like you were talking to your little sister or your little child, because I was really critical of myself because my mother and father were just, I mean, my father never called me Romola. He called me Fat Moly or imbecile. So, and we won't go into what my mother called me. So, I don't know how I knew. I don't know how I knew that my mind and my attitude was the thing that was going to make me or break me. And that's one of the reasons why I connected well with Ash. He has a lot of that mindset too, you know. So yeah, I wrote the book, and boy, I come from the natural food industry. I had a business in the natural food industry, which wasn't real business. It was all hippies and intellects and people who wanted to be healthy. And that's where I came from for, 20 something years. So going into the publishing world, having so many people ripping you off, and, it's funny. I was dating a man who said, your father's the porno king of New York City, and you have to be one of the most naive women I've ever met in my life. Because I didn't know the world too well, because the natural food industry is a certain world of wonderful people, really, and the Grateful Dead. And so writing my book was a nightmare, and the publisher ripped me off, and my two ghostwriters ripped me off, and then the PR guy ripped me off, and I was like, enough. Maybe this isn't supposed to happen. Maybe this isn't supposed to happen. And then Ron Howard, who's a famous producer, got in touch with me because he did a documentary on the killer of 42nd Street. And the reason why he did this documentary on this person was this was the situation that made New York people, whatever, realize that just because somebody's killing prostitutes doesn't mean that prostitutes aren't human. So this was a big thing for that. And he wanted me to explain to the people on the documentary a little bit about my dad and a little bit about what 42nd Street was like back then. Dangerous, scary. So that was a good thing for my book, but then I stopped because the people that I thought were going to help me turned out to be thieves and mean and liars, and I just stopped. Now, a dear friend of mine who used to help me market, because I was a consultant, creating harmony with alcohol. I used to help not alcoholics, but people who party too much or whatever that wanted to learn how to manage their drinking, because I needed to do that. So anyway, he was my marketer. To make a long story short, that didn't work out. He left and he went to Hollywood to open up a production company. And the very first thing he did, he won an award with Richard Branson, you know, that very wealthy billionaire guy. They did this documentary on a meteor going into Belize, under Belize, and the diving that it created. Lots of divers go. I have friends who've been there. He won an award for that. And the next thing he did was some kind of documentary with Jared Leto on the ocean. And he was just going and going. And I was watching him. We were watching each other on Facebook. And he kept on saying he wanted to work with me. I'm like, no. No, I don't want to. No. So 8 months ago, he got on the Academy Awards board, on the Emmys board, on this board, on that board. I said, okay, Michael, what's on your mind? And to make a long story short, we're working together, and he's helping me relaunch the book. He's got so many people helping me, and he's not charging me. He'll get like Lionsgate just bought Stars, so they're talking about doing a series. We'll see. That sounds nice. More so, I would like my book to have a life again. So we're relaunching the book with 2 new chapters. He has a publicist that's going to be getting out a press release to like Variety and all these magazines that I don't know. He has 3 influencers on TikTok that will talk my book up. So, hey, if my book comes back to life, I'll be very happy. You know, having a series, I know people think I'm nuts, but that would be nice. It's not something that I need. You know, I never did any of this to get famous. But, you know, many of the people that I worked with said, you have to get a little famous to sell the book. I'm like, yeah, I guess I do. So that's what's going on with that right now. And that just started within the last 6 months. So I'm feeling excited for the first time in a very, very long time. I was heartbroken about it, but that's the way it was. And now it's in a new space. So we'll see what happens. And I tell everybody that they should get my autograph because it'll be worth $4.59 soon. So,
well, it's a story of a lifetime, you know, and so the price of it doesn't really matter, but I think the story that's told and the story that's stay alive, you know, for a long time. And I haven't read the story. I'm not sure about this. This is the very first time I talk with you about it. What is it from? Was the book about the journey, the entire journey of how you were raised, born through that, through
my book was from birth to about 30.
right.
I stopped it at 30 because it would have been way too long. So it explains not only where my father and mother are from, and how my father, from owning a jukebox route that had gumball machines and cigarette machines and pinball machines, and how he parlayed into the peep show world. And then, you know, how he bought the machines, how he started a business to make his own peep shows, how he fixed the machines, so he just owned everything and started owning the business. I mean, he was very brilliant, but you don't bring all those people home to your young children. You don't have freaking orgies in the house while your kids are upstairs. You know, you don't have drugs all over the house when your children are around. I'm like, you can do all this. You're an adult. You have 4 kids. What is wrong with both of you? Have us at a hotel the days that you're having these monstrosities at the house.
So what
And
age were you when you understand that you've been exposed to all of this?
14.
14.
No,
And
no, no, no. Yeah, yeah, it was 14. It was 14.
when you realize that you've been exposed to all of this, how long did it take you to actually say, you know what, I've got to take my life in control. Like I'm not gonna be around my parents. I'm not gonna be exposed myself to that.
Well, the way that I found out was my father was in on the front page of the Daily News for a week. And I wish I could remember this science teacher's name, but I'd walk into first class. Romola, you have a secret door in your basement? Your mom, I'm like, what? Well, on the Daily News. And I'm like, what? It was awful. It was just awful. I still don't know why I went to school every day for that 5 days. I was I don't know. But a little while after that, I cut school with my boyfriend for 2 weeks. My father sends me to reform school with drug dealers and drug heads and prostitutes and gang members and everything. And I'm like,
That was when you were 14, you said?
that was when I was, I think I went to reform school. I'm so bad with the numbers. When I was 15 or
Mhm.
16, something like that.
Mhm.
Uh, so I guess it was a little while after that I cut school. My memory, because like that was one of the very interesting things about having a ghostwriter. So what happened in it? And she helped me. Oh, that's when that happened. Oh, that because I don't remember a lot of things. But anyway, when I got out of reform school, which happened to be amazing, it was amazing
What's
after the first
reform
month.
school, if you don't mind?
So this was like where kids were sent to not go to jail,
Hmm.
but try to be rehabbed.
Kind of like
Like,
boot camp almost.
no, kind of like, you would have group therapy every night.
Mm.
Um, I got my GED there. Other people were going out to work. Uh, it was kind of like, you know, there was only like 30 people
Mm.
in this start center, it was called. And I learned a lot of wonderful lessons about why all these harsh children became harsh. And there was a woman there, her name was Mrs. McFarlane, and we used to call her we used to call her McFoo. And every night we'd have group therapy and whatever. And I remember one day, this big, gigantic black woman comes in like Amazon to me. She's, and I was like, oh my God, someone else to be afraid of. In a week, in a week, she's sitting on Mrs. McFarlane's lap, hugging her. It's
Mm.
gang member person, you
Wow.
know, prostitute who was just filled with anger and whatever, hugging, I mean, this woman was amazing how she got people to realize you're in pain. It's okay that you're in pain. It's normal for you to be in pain, but you still need love. You
Mm-hmm.
still need affection, and you still need to, you know, decide what road you want to go on. You
Mm-hmm.
could stay on this road, or you could stay, and when I went to reform school, I had already started to know that it's in your mind the way your life is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So she just pushed that more into me, you know. When I got out of school, I went to college. After college, I moved to New York and went to Betty Owens Secretarial School, which I was awful at. So I just wound up being a hostess in some of the, which was a whole bunch of fun back then. Used to have so many of like the staff come back to my house, and we would be drinking Carlo Rossi Chianti and dancing to Donna Summer all night long. Fall asleep and wake up and go to work. It's fun. Um, but my life has been, I mean, there's been a lot of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things, but my life has been extremely challenging with so much stuff. Imagine your father's the porno king, and you're going on vacations with mafia, and then, oh, Dad, Mr. Barachimi, or whatever his name is, they just found him dead in the back of his car. We were just on vacation with him a few months ago. When he'd look at me and he'd just, you know, or I'd walk in the house, and at the big kitchen table, I'd see, oh God, and all these just inappropriate, just so inappropriate for children, you know. Was he a genius in a lot of ways? Yeah, but don't have kids. Or, I mean, back then you had kids. At least if you're going to have kids, you have enough money to put them in a cab and go 2 miles down to the Holiday Inn and give us money for food. Tell us to come home at 10 in the morning. My mother didn't think of this. My father didn't think. I used to be like, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
You know, and my father would be screaming, "You're supposed to respect me." I said, "I am? How? How?" So needless to say, my mother and father and I did not have a very good time because I had a very big mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, don't touch the kids. You don't, you hit the kids with that spoon, I'm going to take that spoon and I'm going to bop you on the head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I must have been a Viking in another life or something. Um,
So
but
you've gone through that whole, early part of your life. Do you have a role model? I'm very sure sometime a kid that going through all of that, you have someone that you feel comfortable to come to, or someone that comes and, kind of give you some word of wisdom. Do you have anyone? No?
well, when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have, because my aunts and uncles stayed away. I don't know if it was because we had a big house on the water and they were jealous of my mother and father. I don't know if they just didn't like being around them because they were nuts and ostentatious and whatever. So I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I had books that I read. And then also, the person that I found some kind of connection with was Cher. For me, Cher was strong and independent and ballsy and did what I that's what I you know looked, because I wanted somebody to look up to.
Yeah.
My mother was in bed half the time on drugs, dying. I wasn't looking up to her. And I'll never forget my father, one, because I became a business person.
Mm-hmm.
My father was, he used to call me a quack. because I also was a holistic practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
and I did my thesis on free radicals. I don't know if you know what a free radical is. Those are like um, molecules or whatever that get in us and start to break down other cells, and that's why you take antioxidants to protect yourself from. So my father was like, what rat what's wrong with you? Can't you get a normal job? Oh, you're like a quack, blah blah blah. So then, like 5 years later, I remember he calls me up. He goes, you know those radical things you wrote about? I said, yeah. He goes, well, they're in the New York Times. I said, oh really? Okay, that's good. What do they say, Dad? Well, almost the same thing you wrote, but a little more technical. I said, there you go. Go get yourself some antioxidants.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we had a strange relationship. But, you know, one of the things that I learned, besides being kind to myself, being in as much gratitude as you can, even when you're on your knees,
Mm-hmm.
was I learned to forgive my parents
Mm-hmm.
because something was wrong with my parents. Back then, 60 some, I'm really 42, but 67 years ago, you had kids. Most
Mm-hmm.
people had kids with,
Mm-hmm.
and they should not have had kids, but they didn't know they should not have had kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they didn't know what my mother had back then, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I forgave my parents, which was a big,
Important.
because I still have friends and family that just hold on. I said they did the best they could. Think about you at 24 years old if you had A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
There comes a time when we have to, or it's best to see our parents as humans so we could forgive them
Yeah.
because they didn't have us to be cruel to us. They were cruel to us because they were nuts.
And I think sometime when you hold on to that, you can't grow. You don't set yourself free. You really have to set yourself free in order to move on and move
Right.
on living and have a great life. And I'm glad that you decide to say, I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to get caught in my parents' mess, you know? And so you get to move on. And so how I mean, during that time, I bet you it was just kind of a lost time. But when you actually found your way, like, saying, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm not going to be like my parents. Was that in your 20s or?
Yeah, well, I was married, and the man that I was married to, I'm not judging, but he was a big partier.
Yeah.
And on my way to my sister's wedding, we got into a car accident and the van like went upside down. Da, 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 da. I had to go to physical therapy and I met this man. I was 24 and he used to talk about aromatherapy and the
Mm.
mind body connection and things that I had started to learn about, but he put them more into words. And I went to school to become a holistic practitioner. And
Mm.
then I started doing nutritional consultations with people. But back then, 40 years ago, nobody admitted they had stress. Nobody went to a preventative, and I was broke.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. And after Carlos, I met this other gentleman who was the manager of the bookstore at the UN. And he knew I was into health and da-da-da, and he found me this book of like manufacturers and distributors or whatever. And I called and called and called, and I got myself a job in the natural food industry,
Mm.
um, selling stuff through a distributor.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't giving me enough money.
Mm-hmm.
So I took products on the side, manufacturers on the side, thank God, because when he sold his business, I already kind of knew how to be a broker. And I was like one of the first women brokers in the natural food industry.
Mm-hmm.
They destroyed me, the men,
Mm-hmm.
until I learned how to, you know. So that was kind of like how I got out. I went to college. I went to college to be a lawyer. Because everybody at reform school said, you should be a lawyer, you should be a lawyer, and that's just not for me. So, but I feel very, very, so blessed that for 20 something years, I was in an industry that I adored. I was with people that were amazing. I was selling products that were amazing and helping people and teaching people all about supplements and why you should be taking mushrooms and, you know, antioxidants. And, I loved it. And my world fell apart in 2009. Bad, bad. And just as I was getting myself together, pandemic hit. So I was in from 2009 to, like, when did that pandemic hit? 2020?
1920, yeah.
What is that?
20, yeah.
Long. It was just, it's not that I didn't have any good times through them, but I left my husband and I loved his family, and I lost my biggest account, and I started to get robbed from this man who was robbing tens of $1 million from people. Who was messing up my business, and the FBI wanted me to help him, and my brother shoots himself, and Sandy comes in and messes up the other business that I was in. I couldn't get a break. 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 You know, and then I was homeless and lived with my sister, who really was not thrilled with that, but we did it because I had to. And then when my dad died and I got some money, I moved to Florida because my brother was ill, and I never wanted to be in Florida. No. But here I am. And, my brother just passed. And, about, what is it? September's going to be 6 years I met Ash. 6 years ago, I met Ash when I was living at my sister's. I had been in this business that I believe Ash was in also, and it fell apart. And somebody from that business sent me that audio. And I was like listening it to him going, what? And there was 5,000 people when I got involved. And I used to talk to Ash. There were a couple of things, like some of those links, I'd be like, you don't have good grammar. Can I help fix that for you? And I, you can tell they're Indian writing, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but,
Yeah.
So, but like, I wasn't a marketer person. So I, like, how do I stay close with him? I wasn't like Marty or you or anybody, but we still, text back and forth or whatever a little bit. I mean, he knows I'm around. And, just been there for that, going through this whole ride. It's been something, but I'll tell you, because I was an entrepreneur, I understand the fact that he made decisions that weren't helpful, because that's how entrepreneurs grow. They make mistakes, and they can make big mistakes, and he's got everybody watching him. That's got to be it, but we all just got to do what we got to do until everything works out. That's all. I think the main thing for me, the main thing is trusting him and knowing that he's working his butt off, and everybody makes mistakes, and that poor man has all of us watching. And thank God, a lot of us say to him, we love you, and we're there, because it's got to be helpful for him when he's being so honest about it all, feeling, I'm sure, that feeling, and we're like, Okay, who cares? We're there. It's okay. We all make mistakes. So what? Let's have fish, you know.
Absolutely. It's all about you. You've seen someone that worked hard, that committed their life to your own purpose, right? Our purpose is our dreams of family and all that, but you have someone's actually committed to you. So all you got to do is trust, stay loyal, right?
Right,
That's
right.
all we need to. Um, okay, so Romola, when did you join On Passive? How did you hear about On Passive? I know you know Ash before, but you didn't
Well,
know it from him.
Ash and I were in another business. I didn't know him. I found out through talking to him when I first met him that
Mhm.
he was in that business. He was a great marketer. I can't do this. I don't know how you guys do this. I can't do it. I can sell vitamins and go out to stores and sell, but this marketing online is just, I can't do it. So anyway, I had a friend that I knew from this other business who sent me Ash's audio.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
remember where I was. I was lying on my bed in my sister's apartment, and I always, because I was trying to be online for many years. It is very, very hard. And I said to myself, I said, Romola, you watch one day somebody's going to come out with a business where somehow they're going to do it all for you. Because how could this last? Because people are going to catch on that you're just wasting your money because there's only a few people that could do it. So, anyway, when he came out and said he was going to be doing it and his heart, and I mean, was lying on my bed going, wow, Gandhi reincarnated. Yes, good. I was really thrilled. And I had called him once just to talk about because he wanted to get to know people, and I told him about my story and everything, and he was like, wow, I'll be thrilled that you're a founder, you know. And then afterwards I just would get in touch with him and say, that link, a couple of the links there need some grammar help. And he'd say, do it. So I would go over all those links and make it sound like, better grammar.
Mhm.
And, as time went on, you know, what really did we have to talk about? Because I couldn't talk about marketing and all the people I had behind me and how, so we kept in touch, but not so much. And I really, back then, with everything that happened in my life, with getting robbed and losing my family and not having a home, I was not up to being a leader. I did not want that commitment of having to show up all the time when I was just. And then as time went on, because Susie and I would talk, and I would say, let other people be in the spotlight. I will be in the spotlight. I have been. Let other people, I'm fine. If I come on once in a while, because I'm always there, but I just did not need to be so out front there. It, um, and this has been some ride because it started off at something and then he changed to something else. And, there's been waiting and da, 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 but all the time, no matter how frustrated or disappointed or whatever, you just pick yourself back up and go, thing, the main thing is trust
Mhm.
and his heart and what he wants. And if
So,
it takes 7 years, then it takes 7 years. You know, I always thought that he did a smart thing because he always said, I'm not a great businessman. I'm a great marketer. And I'm going to get a whole bunch of great business people around me. I'm like, smart. But evidently, a lot of those business people didn't have his vision and pulled him in this direction and whatever. And hey, you live and learn.
yeah, absolutely.
So now it sounds like he's took the reins in a bit, And he certainly learned a lot in these last 6 years. So, you know, he's probably got it a lot better than back then. And, just like I tell the people that I talk to about on passive, go live your life, go do your thing. And when this is ready, it's ready. A lot of us way back, we were waiting with bated breath every day. What's going to happen? Is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? I'm like, enough. Let's just,
Live your
just, and Marty started to say, and everyone, just go live your life. This will happen, and that attitude change was a lifesaver to just go ahead and, I had to get a job again, which was fine. I needed something to do. Uh, so it's all good, all learning experience. I mean, right now I'll be back involved with my book, which I'm very, very happy about. I just got a job at one of the top golf courses in Southern Florida being a hostess. So that'll be fun. I like doing that work. I just like when it's busy. It's just Florida is so seasonal, you know. That's one of the reasons why I can't wait for On Passive to happen because then I don't have to worry that Florida is seasonal. I can just live my life
yeah.
with hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in to help me, my animals, my friends, because always I remember in the beginning, he always used to say, which I loved, he used to go around, and I don't know if you were there, and asking everybody what their dream was. And he'd
Mhm.
come back and he would go, "That's all?
Mhm.
Think big. You've got to think big. Dream big." And I'm like, okay. And I started to just dream big. But he always did say, take care of yourself first, your family, your friends, then you do your charities and whatever. And that's so I am going to have some fun when this starts. Always with the vision of helping people and everything, but boy, I need some fun. I need to I already told Susie, come on, we're getting a whole bunch of people together. We're going to Italy once this starts. Let's go. Let's go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when are you expecting your book to go out?
Um, it'll probably relaunch in another 2 months. And I didn't know, when my book came out the first time, I didn't know if I should like on Passive Nation, say hi, you know, I have a book out, you can get it on Amazon. I didn't know if that was a proper thing to do. So I never
Well,
really.
you've told some of your story here, so when it comes out, let me know. Send me the link to it, and I'll put it in the descriptions. And if someone wants to contact you,
Oh,
they'll
that would
connect
be
with you.
great.
Yeah. So this is kind of like one of the things that you do. You just do, tell your stories. I think if the stories that you have, you're alive, and I'm very sure that everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Everyone uh, whatever that done in their life, there are some inspirations come out of it, motivations come out of it. Your story was a great story, although what happened in the past with your parents, it tells the story who you are today. You tell that story. And so one of the interview is you started with this one. So when it comes out, just let me know. And this
Okay.
this conversation that we have is going to be on YouTube. It's going to be there for a long time. And so when people listening to it, when people see what you have the book coming out, and maybe hopefully the documentary coming
It's
out.
out. It is out already. The document is on Netflix. It's
Yeah,
called The Killer of 42nd Street or The
yeah,
42nd Street Killer. I always forget, but it's up there now.
yeah. you know
So,
but if there's documentary based on your book coming out, let's say, who knows, you may someday, you want it, you decide to do that, just focus on your book.
well, I'll when my book is launched, I'll give you, you know, the name and everything, and you can put it out
Yeah,
there.
you could just send me the link. I'll put it in the description for you. I mean,
Okay,
people
thank
are,
you.
and that this is how we're connecting people, because I believe that, people we meet in our life meant to be met, and so
Yes. Yes.
So this video, this conversation will be out there. So it's gonna come someday. It's gonna come up. And, people's gonna looking forward to read your book. So what's your dreams going besides you want to have fun? Of course, you want to live
Well,
your
I really want to help single parents.
life.
I can't believe how difficult life is for single parents. I really, really want to do that. And there is a what were we just talking about? I can't right now. Um
Single
what were we
parents. You wanted to help single parents?
Oh, right. And there's also a charity called Heifer that
Mm,
I really liked for a really long time. So what they do is they will go into a community and give a cow.
right,
The milk will go to the neighbors. They'll
right,
make cheese. They'll give this one a chicken. They'll give that one a rooster. They'll give that, and I like that idea of having the people have a little bit of a business and helping each other and cows and chickens and all sorts of things. And I've always been I like that.
right,
um of course I'm going to help animals, but the main thing for me, oh, and I also help with the ocean, the plastics in the ocean.
right, right,
um but those are things that are close to my heart, and I'm sure Obless is going to have a whole bunch of stuff. Um, but I really want to go have some fun. It's been so many years that I have been living so small. When I used to live in Manhattan, and I used to have three businesses at one time and travel, and now my life
hello,
is
friends.
so.
I'm not sure where that come
I
from.
I will
Yeah.
be happy to just go out and have some fun.
I'm very sure many of us looking forward to that one vacation or one,
Right.
just to get together and looking forward to just enjoy some time with families. And that's what Unpassive is. It's all about giving us a chance, an opportunity to have a great business, giving us an opportunity to have good times with friends. And, there's valuable times in life that we haven't had a chance to experiencing it.
Right.
That's why the automation's coming in. So it will be here very
And
soon.
I'm hoping, Ash has said that, once things get going, we're going to have like conventions, or I don't know what other word to say, where, he'll say, okay, Cancun, we're going to go meet in Cancun or something.
Yeah.
And those of us will go and we'll all meet. And that will be, I'm really looking forward to
And
that.
and that's really depend on each individuals too. If that's what you want to organize an event, more than welcome, organize it.
Well, no,
Send
he said the
invitations.
company would be doing that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm very
Yeah.
sure. I'm very sure things that will happen, But the best thing of it is that we have a chance, all of us have a chance to take care of ourselves, our family, and
Yes.
humanity.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
important. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate your time telling your story here and connecting
Sure.
with me here. It's good
Sure.
to see you.
And when I come out to
Yeah,
California,
absolutely. You got to do that. And soon, I think we've kind of talked about it last
yeah,
year
yeah,
and now this year. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here. We're gonna have 360 right now, and
yes. Okay.
let's end
Thank you
this
so
and
much. Thank you so much.
take care of
Bye.
yourself, okay?
Bye.